You might have seen from the terms of reference that the nomenclature working group is working on a number of different tasks. And one of them is looking at historic database and perhaps redesigning, re-evaluating, redefining the naming of viruses that are already named or already existing. So just to make it a little bit easier for the community to use and to understand. And the other task of our group is also to provide us with better tools and better approach to naming new upcoming sequences. So my talk today, also, I would like to direct you to my poster, not to the poster of the group, and people who have contributed to the work are listed here. They are all members of our nomenclature working group. So the title of the poster is Defining and Naming Southern African Territories Topotypes. So as we all know, there are three topotypes, three serotypes, and each of them, what do we do? Oh, okay. And each of them has got different numbers of topotypes. So as an example, we can see here that SAT1 has got 9 topotypes, but yesterday we heard a speech describing topotype number 10. So therefore, perhaps this sort of brings it into the attention. So what is a topotype? A topotype is a group of closely related genetically viruses that circulates in a small geographical area. And so far, we have been naming such topotypes as Roman numerals. And so if you think about it, there are a large number of Roman numerals that are being used currently, and they're easily confused. And the confusion does happen in literature. So there are also many topotypes that have not been reported in recent years, and perhaps some that have not been discovered. And this is due to perhaps undersampling of wildlife and domestic animals. So I'll show you some of the results of the work that we have done, and this is an example of work done for SAT2 viruses, but I direct you to our poster relating to other other SATs viruses, SAT1 and SAT3. So currently there are 14 different topotypes described for SAT2, but they are not all reported within recent years. Only 8 of them are being reported. But what you can immediately see is that they sort of tend to circulate in certain geographical areas. And we have divided Africa into certain areas, like Southern Africa territories, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and for what we used to call serotype 7, it's sort of a broader spectrum, East and West Africa, West and East Africa. And then, by using this type of nomenclature, it perhaps provides a better identification of circulating virus, or perhaps the virus that is being referred to during a talk, and one can immediately recognize whether this is a new incursion of a virus into a certain geographical area, or perhaps it is an endemic virus in this particular area. So how do we define topotypes? So we're using nucleotide sequence identities within the VP1 coding sequence, and look at the numbers, basically. So from our experience, that the identity at up to about 80% indicate that viruses are very closely related. So if the difference is about 20%, perhaps this is a new new genetic identity. But it is, because it's a biological system, it's obviously not very precise. So we combine it with phylogenetic analysis, and which sort of guides us in the topology of the tree. Together with the numerical data, we can assess how the topotypes fall. So just to summarize this part of the talk, when we combine the nucleotide identity cutoff with phylogenetic analysis, we perhaps have got a very robust tool to define topotypes. And also we suggest that we change into different naming of SAT viruses to reflect the geographical location. And finally, but really importantly, I would like to stress the contact point through the www.footandmouth.org webpage. And if you think you have got a virus that is interesting and you would like to it to be analyzed by the group, the expert group, please contact us via this route. And there is a feature to upload files or send sequences which could be analyzed, and obviously in confidence, and the advice will be given. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Kasia. I think, I guess you've taken one of the big challenges, which is to look at the SATs from the beginning. Are there any specific questions relating to Kasia's presentation?
Yeah, I have a short one, Kasia. It's the naming after a geographical position is also challenging often.
Sure.
Take Schmallenberg virus. So how are you going to do that? Can you give an example for Topotype 7 that is rather broad now, geographically in Egypt and so on? So how what would be the new name of that?
So this perhaps graph shows it a little bit more. We are not proposing to switch it immediately, but we would like really people to get used to using the different naming and perhaps use the both nomenclatures in parallel for some time to come. It is challenging as it is at the moment, and obviously introducing both names is going to take time for people to get used to, but but we would like to advertise the new names and perhaps explain it as much as we can via internet online tools, as well as our network meetings. But obviously, so you refer to Topotype 7, which is perhaps the most widely distributed with the outbreaks of the viruses outside of Africa. And therefore this would have quite a special name, one and only West and East Africa one. You're welcome.
Thanks, Kasia. And I suppose for those in the room that are also working with other diseases, it's interesting to sort of compare the approaches that have been used for the classification of diseases such as thinking for influenza and classical swine fever, where you have this very hierarchical system that goes almost as a number system. So you have virus lineage 1.3.6 or something like that. And I mean, that may be helpful for those who are very knowledgeable about where 1.3.6 is, but it doesn't really help the people that are maybe at the fringes of the phylogenetic analysis. And so having a nomenclature that has a bit more description about it immediately tells people where that virus might be found, and I suppose it's quite useful for people.